Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about what I think it's the most important things to learn in and improving your game to win at 1-3 and 2-5 more consistently. Definitely something that I think everybody should improve. I'm going to be talking about that in the end of the video, and also there's going to have another video of this week. Both are going to be on the Paris during the WSOP, and I'm going to be sharing some tips at the end of the video. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss those. All right, see you guys at the Paris.
So for the first hand of the night, we look down at pocket jacks from the small blind. Low jack opens to 12 after 2 limps, hijack calls, cutoff calls, and being the small blind, I never want to call and play out of position with jacks against so many opponents, so I go ahead and squeeze to 81 bucks and only the hijack calls, which is kind of weird, right? He cold calling the squeeze after not 3-betting pre-flop. So when the flop comes 10-9-9, I'm pretty confident that we have the best hand most of the time. So I go ahead and c-bet for $75 and he folds. So it's nice to start the session winning a big pot. A few orbits later, the straddle is on. You can straddle both from under the gun and button in this game. In this case, it was the under the gun. And the button raises to 20 bucks. I go ahead and 3-bet to 76 from the small blind. The straddler, there is the under the gun player, calls and the button folds. I'm not super excited because cold calling ranges are usually very strong, but flop comes ace deuce 4 with 1 club. I check, he go ahead and bet around half pot, 90 bucks. Nothing I can do, I didn't squeeze with ace jack to fold, so I call. Turn brings a deuce of clubs, a great one, right? Because now if we are playing against a hand like ace king or ace queen, we have additional outs. So the straddle goes ahead and goes all in for a little over 100 bucks. I snap call, nothing I can do. I have a really strong hand, and after I check it twice, I'm really under-repping my hand. So when the river comes a 5 of clubs, I go ahead and announce straight away that I have a flush. I could request to see his cards, but there's no reason for that, guys. I think it's just good etiquette. I know I have the nuts here, right? He never has a full house. So I just don't want to slow roll him, even though I can get some information. I think it's just not good for the game. We are on the small blind again, and we look down at pocket aces. I guess we gotta keep squeezing. So low jack opens to 10, hijack calls, cutoff calls. I go ahead and squeeze again to $75. Low jack now raises to 250, only leaving 180 or so behind. Everybody else folds, and honestly, he's a good friend of mine, and I told him that I think it was a mistake of his part, because when he makes that big, if I jam, he has to call, right? Because he's gonna have to call 180 for a pot that's gonna have 900 bucks. So I think once he 4-bets for this size, he's pretty much committed, and I don't think it's the best size for him. So for these reasons, I go ahead and jam. He calls and shows pocket jacks. The board runs out and we win, so cannot complain, but just decided to include this one because we have been running good today. Also guys, just a quick reminder, I'm going to be posting 2 videos this week. They're both going to be from the Paris cash games, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Alright, up to the next hand. This next hand we look down at ace-7 offsuit from the button. The straddle is on and we are the straddler on the button. Big blind raises to 20 bucks. Everybody else folds, and I call. Flop comes jack 7-6 rainbow. He c-bets for $15, a small sizing. I think I cannot fold just yet with second pair, so I call. Turn brings a 4 of diamonds. It goes check check. Now I'm feeling more confident about my hand. And river brings a jack of diamonds. And when he bets half pot, 35 bucks. When the jacks pairs, it's less likely that he has a jack. I think I got sticky with my hand, but I thought he could be betting a hand similar to ours, so I go ahead and call. I don't know if it's good or not, but he shows us jack 9 of clubs, so we lose a small one. Cannot complain, right? When we are winning the big ones and losing the small ones, we really cannot complain. So in this hand, the low jack limps and we look down on the hijack to ace jack offsuit. We go ahead and raise to $15, but the cutoff calls, small blind calls, low jack calls. So 4 ways to a flop, which comes 4-3-3, rainbow. When he checks to me, I could go for a c-bet, but what I was thinking is being multi-way out of position, I'm probably gonna check my whole range, and if I have a hand like, let's say, pocket jacks, pocket tens, I'm probably gonna go for a check raise. So that's what I do with most of my range. No reason to bet with ace jack. I check and cut off jacks back. Turn brings an interesting one, a 5 of diamonds. And now with a gut shot and 2 overs, once he checks to us, I go ahead and bet half pot. Because, like I said, since I'm checking a lot on the flop, I'm gonna have all these over pairs on the turn, and I wanna start betting with them. So I bet 30 bucks, cutoff calls, small blind calls. River brings a 7 of hearts. Small blind checks again, and kind of an interesting spot. I could go for a bluff with my hand, but being against 2 people, I'm not super excited, so I go ahead and give up and check. And now the cutoff bets $75, which is kind of odd, right? What hand is he really representing? But after the small blind calls, there's no way I'm ever calling with ace high here, so I fold. Small blind shows pocket nines, and cutoff was indeed bluffing, so he shows queen jack of suited. One interesting thing about the WSOP is that chopping is not allowed. When he folds to us on the small blind with ace queen off, pretty standard raise, we raise to $11 and big blind calls. Flop comes 5-3 deuce, which is not bad at all for blind versus blind. But I decide to check here, being out of position, I wanna protect my checking range, so I check and he bets 20 bucks, so almost pot. I go ahead and call, nothing I can do just yet. Turn brings an ace of spades, so now we are very excited about our hand, and I check again and he checks back. River comes a 6 of diamonds. I mean, it brings a one-liner to a straight, but let's be honest, what for does him or me really have here? So I go for a bet of 50 bucks and he snap calls, which is not a good sign. I show and he shows us 6 deuce of hearts for a river 2 pair. Nothing you could do, I guess. I think it's well played by the both of us. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. We are on the straddle again on the button and look down at queen 4 offsuit. So a lot of people limp, we check, flop comes jack 8-5, checks through, and that's mainly the reason why it doesn't have a footage of this hand, because I thought nothing would happen. But then a queen of diamond comes on the turn. So after one of the blinds bets 10 bucks, I go ahead and call, right? It's less than half pot and a half top pair. I think I'm good a lot of the times here. And then a jack of diamond comes on the river and he bets 30 bucks. I could go for a call again, could go for the fold. I don't know. I think I'm just under-wrapping my hand, and I have such a bad hand that I don't really want to raise or do anything else. So I just decided to call. And he shows us queen 9, which means the 9 plays. So he wins this one. Nothing I can do, I guess. What do you guys think? Should I fold top pair on the river? This hand, we look down at 5-4 suited on the cutoff. I go ahead and raise 12 bucks, button calls, big blind calls. $37 on the pot, checks to me. I decide to check this time and possibly go for a check raise. Now, button bets 20 bucks, big blind calls, and honestly, I think this is gonna be one of our best raising as a bluff candidates, because we have a very disguised open-ender. I mean, a 3 or a 7 gives us a straight, and also if a spades comes on the turn, it's a really good card for us to keep barreling. So with all of that in mind, I go ahead and raise it up to 75 bucks. Button folds, and now big blind thanks and folds. It's really nice to take down the pot with only 5 high, and I just decided to include this one because it shows that sometimes in dry boards like this, you gotta find bluffs that are creative. And I think this is one of the best examples in that. Another bluff candidate could be 9-7 suited with the backdoor flush draw. And I think that's actually probably a better one because it blocks 9-8, 8-7, 7-6. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You think my bluff is too ambitious here, or you think it's okay? Let me know in the comments. In this hand, I look down at a6 offsuit from the big blind, and as I explained, chopping is not allowed, so small blind raises to $11. I call, could go for a 3-bet, but I don't know. Honestly, My blind versus blind game is not the best, so I cannot make an opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think. But nothing of that matters. When the flop comes ace 9-5, we flop top pair, and for blind versus blind, this is a really good hand. He bets $15, which is around 2/3. I go ahead and call. Turn brings a 5 of spades. He checks. I mean, I see no reason to bet just now. I think we're basically targeting a worse ace that we're chopping, or a 9. So I think we can check back and probably bet river or call almost any river bet. Checks, and the river brings a 3 of diamonds. That doesn't change anything. He goes ahead and bets $15. I think I cannot ever raise here, so I go ahead and snap call, and he shows us 10-9 suited, so we win this one. So this hand is actually a really crazy one, guys. I look down at 4 deuce offsuit from the button. The straddle is on, I'm the straddler, and after 3 limps from big blind, hijack, and cutoff, I go ahead and check. I'm not even recording at this point because, you know, it's 4 deuce off. There's no way I'm gonna make a hand, right? So 25 bucks in the pot, which comes 7-5-3. So we flop an open ender, hijack bets $10, cutoff calls, and even though I think this is a spot that we could raise, I don't really want to do it. I have 4 deuce off, right? Even though I have an open ender, I'm really not excited about my hand. I just go ahead and call. But turn brings an ace of diamond, a beautiful ace of diamonds. Now going 3-way, the hijack bets 25 bucks. Cutoff calls again, and having the absolute nuts, I mean, pretty much the nuts, right? I'm only losing to 6-4 suited. I go ahead and raise it up to 85 bucks. Hijacks now, thanks for a long time, and 3 bets us on the turn to $225, leaving only 100 behind. Cutoff folds, and honestly, I mean, this could be a spot that he's so value heavy. Like, I mean, let's be honest, guys. Who the fuck is bluffing here with a 3 bet on the turn? Nobody is. So I think even though I'm gonna run into 6-4 suited a lot of the times here, I mean, I'm never folding. I have pretty much the best hand that I could ever have here, apart from 6-4. And I don't know, I don't think it can do a crazy fold with the second nuts. So I just go ahead and jam. I 4-bet the turn basically for his remaining $100. He snap calls and show us a good news, pocket 5s. So we're winning. We just have to avoid the board pairing. And yeah, an ace of spades comes on the river. So it's a pretty bad beat, and especially because there was only 25 bucks on the flop, and now there is 700 bucks on the turn, which is kind of crazy, right? But we are running pretty good. We cannot complain when we get a bad beat. So being a little bit tilted that we got this bad beat, we look down at pocket 4s from the hijack. Low jack opens to 10, and honestly, this is a fold, right? There's not a flat, there's not a raise, but being tilted, I go ahead and raise it to 30 bucks. And now, cutoff, cold calls, and low jack calls as well. Flop comes 3-3 deuce, which is pretty good flop for my range and my hand, right? When you have pocket 4s, what else are you expecting to appear on the flop? So I go ahead and c-bet for 35 bucks, cutoff calls, and hijack folds. And now I'm thinking that a range that cold calls a 3-bet and calls this flop bet, it's gonna have a lot of overpairs. So I'm pretty much done until a beautiful 4 of hearts comes on the turn. So we have the absolute nuts, right? Apart from pocket 3s, we go ahead and check, and he checks back. And I think another thing that is important to say is he has around 200 bucks in his stack. So even if we check turn, we can put all the money in on the river. That's what we're planning to do. So when the river comes a 9 of clubs, we go ahead and overbet jams for 200 effective. And he goes into the tank for a long time, almost 2 minutes tanking, and then he calls. We show him, and you know, we get those disgusting looks that we 3-bet pocket 4s, but you know, sometimes it just run good. You get bad beat in one hand, the very next hand you run good and bad beat another person. That's just how poker is. You cannot get upset about it. So the next hand, we look down at 6-4 suited on the button. It folds to us, we go ahead and raise to $12, and the big blind calls. Flop comes, pretty favorable one. 7-6-4 with 2 diamonds. We go ahead and c-bet for $12, and now big blind raises to 35 bucks. I mean, we have bottom 2, we have a really good hand, especially because we're still dominating value, like pocket 8s, and it's very easy to find bluffs in this spot, right? He could have a hand like, let's say, ace-5 or 6-5 suited that is a pair plus an open-ender, so nothing we can do and just call. But then the turn comes at 3 of clubs, and now he checks. It's a really bad turn, so we're not super excited and just check back. But then river changes when he brings a 6 of hearts. A really good one for us. So after he checks, I think in this spot, if he has a 5, he's calling no matter the size of the bet, and if he has a full house that, you know, raise on the flop, let's say pocket 7s, I mean, take my money, right? What I'm gonna do. So I go ahead and overbet because my range is pretty capped here, so I'm gonna have a lot of bluffs. And even if I have a 5, I want him to have a really tough spot, so I maybe can get him out of a chop if I have a 5. So for all these reasons, I don't know if they're the best ones or not, but I make it 120. And he folds. So we take down the spot to finish the session with a very nice profit.
So, really good session, even though we had that bad beat with the 4 deuce offsuit. Still good, but let's go to the tips, right? So I think the most important thing that I would say, guys, is focus in what happened more often and what happens more often in poker, pre-flop. So make sure you're not making any or almost any pre-flop mistakes. I see so many pre-flop mistakes playing 1-3 and it's even us 2-5 and above. And think about that. I have a friend who plays really high stakes online. He plays against the best in the world, and he was here in Vegas during the WSOP, and he told me that even in 10-20 at Bellagio, he saw people, regulars, doing mistakes pre-flop. So if regulars are doing mistakes pre-flop at 10-20, I'm sure that all of us are also doing it at 1-3, 2-5, and even 5-10. So I think main thing is take consideration the rake, adjust your pre-flop ranges accordingly, and it's gonna improve how you play by a lot just by adjusting the pre-flop. There's also another few things, but let's save it for the next video that is gonna come up later this week, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. All right, so see you guys later this week.